All right, guys, it is time. Please welcome Killer Clowns from Outer Space stars Grant Cramer and Suzanne Snyder.
Where would you like us? Right here?
Suzanne Grant. Now it's confusing when the name is facing the crowd. So you guys having a good weekend?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nicest,
Actually, I think, convention in terms of overall just kind of quality and nice people and environment that I think we've been to.
Right
I
on.
agree. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, just everybody, top to bottom, just good people.
Awesome to hear. We were just talking about right before you guys arrived. It's crazy that you celebrated the 30th anniversary of this film. Still holds up really well, obviously. I mean, the clowns are iconic. The story is just entertaining. Like one gag after next, it like snowball affects it. The way that it's performed and how it was written, and it's unique, which is also makes a film super special. I'm curious, when you guys got this script in front of you and you're reading your characters and you're imagining like what it's going to be like on set and all that, was that even possible to do what you thought that they were going to create and the whole story itself?
Well, Suzanne and I have, I was totally shocked when it started to kind of take off the way it did, because I just thought it was I thought it was kind of something kind of funky and cool, and if anybody sees it, great. But the funny thing is, when I got the movie, I had got two movies at the same time, right? And one was kind of like, your typical kind of young action guy, kicking butt or something like that, but it shot in South Africa, and it was like apartheid, and a lot of actors were going down there, and I was like, no, I don't want to go do that, so I'm going to go do this other quirky, fun, trippy movie, and I was totally shocked. But Suzanne had a totally different experience. She knew.
So, my agent read the script and said, "You have got to go in on this audition." She spoke about the Kyoto brothers. She said they're like the next Rick Baker, way beyond. They're so talented. And she said, and this movie's going to be a cult classic. It already is, and it hasn't even been made. And I said, okay. And I had just been working on something else also, and they mixed and matched all these different people together till they found the right combination.
Yeah, that's how the audition process was. It was literally I'd say no less than like 5 times or more that we had to go in, and there would be like 20 of us in there, and they would just keep on moving us in different combinations, and eventually Suzanne and I started to feel like we seemed to be the common denominator. You know what I mean? Like there was different people every time, but we were always there.
We were always there. Yeah. And it was very cool. You could imagine when you read a book or anything, you imagine the characters, but what they created and how they showed us what they were going to be doing, it was pretty exciting.
No, I mean, that's something that gets lost on with current horror movies more often than not, is just crazy over the top practical effects.
Yeah, you don't see practical effects very, very much anymore, and other than just like a few of the little kind of ray beams and stuff like that. I mean, this was guys with hammers and nails and balsa wood and
fishing string
and duct tape and just that entire spaceship set.
Yeah.
I mean, it was every ounce of it was built on a great big warehouse up in Santa Cruz, and all of it built by hand. We shot it at the end because they were building it the whole time we were there.
Right.
Every single one of those clowns was shaped and built by hand.
Yeah.
So talk about that. You guys are all on set together. The cast, the directors, all them. I mean, just from watching other works, I can imagine how much fun when you guys are all grouped together, that this must have been fun to make. Was there any, take shenanigans with John? What was he like to work with? And
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't really get along with him very well.
Really? Oh.
But I never like to say anything, bad about anybody. But he was kind of one of those people that I think he actually took. There's a bit of a love triangle, right? I'm the new boyfriend, and he's the old boyfriend, and he's a little bit older than me, and he kind of acted like that the whole film. like it would be so nice if you weren't here, right? No, seriously, I'll tell you a true story. This is literally like the second day we've all met each other, and we're going to all go see a movie. Like, we've had a little rehearsal, and we're in the parking lot of the hotel in Santa Cruz, and we're going to see a movie. So, like, hop in the car. We're going to meet out in the parking lot at 4:30. And I'm walking toward the car, and everybody's in it, and he's like, Grant, come on. And I was like, oh, shit, I forgot my jacket. Hold on 1 second. He goes, no, we're not waiting for you. And he put his foot on the thing and burned rubber out of the parking lot. And I thought, of course, like, normally you'd think, like, all of a sudden somebody's going to slam on the brakes, they're going to rewind and go, ha, got you. Nope. I didn't see a movie that day.
And I couldn't get him to turn around.
I was like, what?
I was like, ooh.
I mean, but other than the silly little stuff like that, there wasn't any major drama. Everybody, the Kyotos are. You guys know who the Kyotos are, right? They're these wonderful three brothers that started making monster movies in their garage when they were little kids, and they've been doing this ever since. And if you're around there for any period of time, like, they fight all the time like cats and dogs. I mean, like, people, when they first meet them, they go, are they going to be able to make a movie together? And I'm like, you guys, they're just brothers. They're literally the same kids that have been making movies since they were 5 years old in their backyard. And now they're in their 50s, and they're making this is how they work. They just, like brothers. So, but there was no drama besides that.
Beside that. And, they all have their different roles, right? Like, Ed's the producer, Steven's normally the director, and Charlie's the mad artist, wild artist with all these.
And they've got their
cool
certain
ideas.
sort of kind of like, argue it out way of getting to what they're finally going to do on every single equation. So that's just the way they work. And they're lots of fun. I mean, they've stayed
creative, super, super creative. They kind of like build on top of each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're the last of the great, stop motion. Some of the, there's not stop motion is becoming kind of a dead thing, and they're still the guys that do it brilliantly.
Brilliantly, yeah.
What was some of your favorite scenes to film? Because there's a ton of fun ones. There's the chase with the balloon dog through the woods. There's the climax, Clownzilla, moving around in the ice cream truck. What was some of the funnest stuff for each of you to do while you were filming?
I always say I really thought it was fun because we watched the fun house being built the whole time, and I thought it was really fun when we finally got in the fun house. Mm-hmm. And because it was practical, right? So it's not like we were imagining there's a big ball pit. There was really a big ball pit, so that we thought that was a lot of fun.
That was cool.
And then Susie and I spent like a lot of time, hanging out in cars. It was always like drizzling. So if you're shooting when you're drizzling, you're always like waiting for it to stop, and then they wipe the windows off real quick. And so we were just kind of hanging out, and that's how we got to know each other, and we're still great friends now because we were sitting in the car for half the movie, talking and telling stories, like just waiting for them to say, okay, it's clear for a few minutes, let's go shoot this.
Yeah. I think probably one of the scenes that was the funniest for me was the chase through the balloon hallway, because I kept on falling over and they kept on losing me. So Grant and John were like trying to stay up.
You're literally holding her up.
So that was kind of just silly and fun.
But there's something about ball pits and balloon rooms and things that I think even when you're like, you little kids love them, but I don't think we ever really stopped being little kids. So it's like you see a bunch of balloons and you just want to run through them. You see a bunch of balls and you want to jump into them, right? So
it's true. I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and neither one of us are in it. I really like the shadow puppet hand puppets.
Yeah.
I thought that was really creative and really cool. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, I'd say, but I always think my favorite actual part of the whole movie is the scene. Of course, I'm not in, but I was standing there holding a pie off stage. Was the what are you gonna do with those pies?
That was really funny.
Like one, I thought that guy who was just a local guy from Santa Cruz, just hired to play that one line. I thought he delivered it so perfectly,
Yeah.
and it looked so perfect. And then the little shorty guy coming out of the car, and then of course we had everybody, all of us standing there, all holding a pie. Because when he gets hit with this, that's just like everybody in the cast and crew
Throwing pies, because that's what you had to do, yeah.
So
Did
that
you
was
guys
a lot
get
of
it
fun.
in first take, or did you have to pie him multiple times?
I think we pretty much got
You
it.
had to
got
do
it.
on the first take.
I'm not sure we had enough. We had enough
Enough
pies to
pies.
keep going.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Oh,
mean to
no,
cut you
no,
off.
I know we didn't get hit properly with the pies, but that was all they could do, and I was really glad, because it kind of hurts getting hit in the face with the pie. It's not like, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, well, that was at the very end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the ending scene, the actual ending scene when the the ice cream cooler comes flying down and the Trenzi brothers pop out and all that kind of stuff. We shot that several months after the movie finished shooting, because when they screened it, there was a sense on it, like even though it's kind of a horror movie, it's the Kyotos call it candy coated kills, right? So even though it's still there's a sense that the audience didn't want any of the main characters to die. So they said, no, bring him back. You got to bring him back to life. So we all went back, and they tweaked our hair because we're all working other things there. And we showed up at night, and we shot that whole scene where we run and the cops pull up and the thing falls down and the pies hit us in the face. So that was shot months after we finished shooting the movie.
Yeah.
Originally, I think both Dave
The Trenzis and
and the
Dave
Terenzis
died.
all die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about the bathroom scene. What was that day like that? I imagine there's like puppeteers underneath, or as they're controlling them, or how did all that happen?
Well, that was supposed to be kind of like Psycho, right? Like the Psycho
Yeah.
scene. Yeah, that was the whole thing about it. And it was I had several scenes with the clowns where the clowns were lifting me up, and I was in the balloon, and then I had the puppets. And so it was fascinating learning and watching the little popcorns move across the room. And the clown's teeth kind of hurt because they were sharp. And it was, I actually laughed a lot during that scene. And there was a lot of stuff we had to do by getting the shower head and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
puppet's mouth and tip over the hamper and get over the hamper and all that. So it took some time, but it was really nice to work with. So it was really fun and interesting to learn how they were moving everything.
Around, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to keep any cool souvenirs?
Everybody asks us that, and unfortunately not. Like not even like your sweater. I'm like, no, we didn't get to keep.
So I did get to keep my dinosaur earring.
Oh, right on.
That's about it.
But we're good friends with the Kyotos, so
Yeah.
we can go over there and see them whenever we want to.
Do you guys, growing up, your mom's background, if Grant's mom, she was the star of the original Mighty Joe.
Mighty Joe Young, yeah.
So film growing up for you, even there is like a creature feature.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys fans of, creature features or horror movies in general? Just from a fan perspective growing up as a kid?
I was a major Godzilla fan. I grew up watching all of the, actually probably my favorite monster movie growing up was Son of Godzilla. I love the little guy that blew the rings, if you remember that one. But I love Godzilla versus Rodan and all of those. I just love those Japanese. And then, because my mom had starred in Mighty Joe Young, Ray Harryhausen, if you guys know who was the great, he made King Kong and Mighty Joe Young and They Live. And he was kind of the famous, he's the guy the Kyoto brothers look up to. So he was kind of a friend of the family. So I dug his movies too.
Right on.
Yeah.
How about you? Did you?
I was and still am a big chicken. So I mean, like seriously,
big chicken from outer space?
Yeah, big chicken from outer space. No, I can't watch horror movies at all. I watched Halloween and I think I had nightmares for years. And Dark Shadows
Oh, yeah.
scared
Dark Shadows,
me
that was pretty cool.
so much. Like I was afraid of vampires forever. So yeah, no, like these kind of horror films I can do and be in, but really scary horror films, I don't know. Like,
Did you guys, with that, the look of those clowns, who's your guys' fave? Did you pick one? Or have you since?
Everybody kind of has their different favorites. I've always kind of thought Shorty was pretty cute. And I like the knock you. That's one of my other favorites. Well, he's part of my two favorite scenes, right? Knock your block off,
yeah.
and the pie.
Yeah, he's there throwing.
Yeah. So
He
I
might
like
be my
Shorty.
favorite too.
Yeah.
Shorty. I felt bad for him when the biker broke his bike.
Yeah, we said before you guys came, it was interesting that he did not want him to get on, but he could definitely honk the horn. And then, of course, things turn out the way that they do. But no, they were all cute. I always, Shorty's cute, and then the GIF that's like on Facebook and Instagram a ton is the chubby guy outside the burger joint doing the finger.
Yeah.
That was always,
Of course, the silly straw fatso is
The silly straw.
the fatso guy with the silly
Oh, yes.
straw.
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
that sneaks in to get his drink when nobody's looking.
I like that one. I
Yeah.
like that scene too with
And-
the silly straw.
that always makes makes the movie so much fun because they are still clowns. Even though they're killer clowns from outer space, they're still goofy and they're clowns. And
Yeah.
you can tell that they, from the perspective of the viewer, they entertain themselves a lot too when they do their little. But
Yeah. The balloon dog too. I like the balloon dog.
yes, the hunting party. Yeah. I know there's been times when you have said that you would be down for a sequel, and there's been rumors online of they were gonna do the Killer Clowns from Outer Space 2. Then I read somewhere, someone posted that they were talking about it maybe being like a TV series or anything. Are the brothers, you guys are still close, are they holding out hope that there will be a number 2 still?
Yeah, I mean, we actually created a sequel together and got pretty close to getting it on. I actually wrote the script to it. I worked with them for a long time to get a story, and then I wrote the script to it, and we were very close to getting it. And then it didn't happen right then. And the latest I've heard that MGM has the rights, that the Kyotos have been talking to them about doing something. But this time around, I'm not involved in those conversations, so I don't know they haven't talked to me about the script, so I imagine they're just probably thinking about doing something totally different. So to be honest with you, I don't know. I do know that they are in some sort of active talks with MGM.
Form or fashion.
Yeah.
Did you guys, you're saying that you're a big chicken, so I could say the answer is probably no, but Universal turned Killer Clowns into a scare zone for their Halloween Horror Nights event. Have you guys seen the videos or anything from that at all?
I
No.
haven't, but I love haunted houses.
But I heard it
Oh,
was
do you?
pretty cool.
Wow.
I do. I love them. There's a really cool one. I drove to go get coffee today, and I was on the 50, and there's this, looks like a giant haunted house. I can't remember what it's called. I was like, shoot, I wish I had time. I'd like to go to it. Right by here somewhere.
There's a few of them that are pretty
Yeah,
good, yeah.
I like haunted houses, but I haven't seen it, but I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they did, just by looking at the videos, because it's, on the East Coast, not the West, they did it justice for sure.
Well,
That would be
Bet.
that'd be a top haunted house, like a full house, man. You could totally design a haunt based on killer clowns.
Yeah.
that's Killer Clowns in one other movie, right? I heard it was like they had two.
Well, the clowns are out on the street.
Oh yeah.
So the way that this dude films the video, the truck is like crashing into a side of a building, and the clowns have kind of got their area, but they're all out roaming with their guns. They got guard dog balloon, and they got, of course, the theme song's playing, and the dude caught one of the clowns air guitaring to it.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
That's funny.
Shorty's there with his gloves.
Well, we had a really, I don't know if anybody was there or heard about it, but did anybody hear about the concert that we had down in LA?
Yeah, you guys all got together. Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome evening.
It was.
Like they literally got the Dickies to play live, and I'd never even seen the Dickies play live before. They were freaking great.
They were.
And they were playing in the pit, and then John Massari, who composed the soundtrack, the score, he conducted. He was the one behind it all, right? So he conducted the whole thing, and he had a full philharmonic orchestra. So, like the beginning of the movie, it's the Dickies rocking out live on stage with the movie playing, and then the orchestra comes in and does the actual score when the score happens, and real clowns are like roaming the audience, and people taking pictures outside. It was just kind of one of those surreal nights that you leave and go, that was like one of the most fun nights I've ever had.
That was fun. And we did a short scene.
We did a little
stage.
scene up before the movie, from the movie with the ripping up the.
And we did a panel, and then a guy asked his girlfriend to marry him in the aisle. That was pretty cool too. Yeah, it was a fun night.
It was really fun night, and now I hear
music
he's
was
like he wants to
beautiful.
kind of can it, and so he shot it, right? He filmed the whole thing, and now I think he's going to go take it to different towns, different theaters, or whatever, and try to see if he can turn it into something, because it was
Celebration.
yeah. I mean, it was like.
It was very cool.
Really cool.
Because it was right off of Hollywood Boulevard, so I pulled in to walk in to, begin, and the clowns were outside walking, where the stars were in Hollywood, right? And they were walking, they were shooting popcorn at the guests. I mean, you're like just driving down a normal road, and there's crazy clowns out there, and people are getting shot with popcorn. I mean, it was very cool. And it's really something to see a
was an
movie
experience.
with an orchestra.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. It is really cool to see a movie with a live
Yeah, if you ever see that he's coming up here, something like that, go see it, because it was much cooler than I actually ever expected it to be.
Me too.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Let's open it up to Q&A for you guys. Who has a question for these two?
Kind of going right off of that concert thing, do you know if there's any talks about a vinyl release? Because I know it never got a proper release on vinyl. They recently rescored with the composer to release it on CD. Do you know if they have any other plans for that?
I do not, but I also know that John is really active with all that. So are you on his Facebook page or anything like that? Because he'll usually write all of fans and stuff back, and anything he knows that's going on, he'll be really transparent about it.
I know Waxworks Records was trying to get that printed and try to get it right, but nobody had the original master tape. They were lost years ago, so they re-recorded for Versa.
Wow.
They released it on CD.
Well, you actually know more about it than I do. That's cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. But like I said, John he's a really nice guy and really into it all. So if there is, he'll let you know for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this for the longest time, but I saw when I watched Killer Clowns this year, I saw that Christopher Titus was in it, and he's one of my favorite comedians. How was he on set? Was he like as edgy as he is nowadays, or was he kind of calm? How was it working with him?
Do you know? Well, he wasn't famous then. You know what I mean? So, I just remember him being like. I mean, it's not like somebody I became good buddies with, but he was like a nice guy. I just remembered him kind of doing his job, and then all of a sudden, it was the type of thing when he blew up later, and he went, that was Christopher Titus, right? And I was like, oh, wow. But Yeah, I mean, I think the edgy thing's probably something that comes when you make it, and then you have to kind of show that you've got a particular personality and all that kind of stuff. I don't remember anybody really. The only person that had kind of an oversized personality a little bit was probably John Vernon, and because just has that classic voice and that classic personality, and he was a guy that kind of wonderful actor, wonderful person, liked to drink a little bit, you know what I mean? So he had that scraggly. He was very old school, a lot of fun to work with. But I remember Chris I'm sure he was just happy to have a job at the time, like all of us
Like
were.
all of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Grant, I know in recent years you've been involved in a lot of the production end of the business. How do you compare the two different aspects of movie making?
You mean from being in front of the camera?
Yeah.
To
being behind the scenes.
Well, it's a little bit kind of I compare it to kind of maybe in sports would be like, playing the sport or coaching the sport, you know what I mean? There's nothing like the instant gratification of playing because you obviously spend a lot of time doing your craft, and then there's that sense of just like if you were playing football, like the whistle blows and you have to be on, you have to do your thing, and it blows. So there's that real kind of like in the moment fun and gratification and fear and adrenaline and everything that comes with acting, which I love. Over time, as I got a little bit older, kind of going on auditions and chasing jobs and restarting my career, and also, the constant me, hey, what about me? It just started to get a little bit old, so I started teaching acting, and I had quite a few well-known clients along the way, Jeremy Renner and different people like that I discovered, but that kind of led into starting to like write, and then that led into the producing, and so it just started to become more fulfilling to me to be involved in the overall creative process, rather than running around trying to get a job and then waiting and then having to have somebody give me permission to go to work. So I enjoy both, but they're so different, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? One is constantly preparing and building worlds and trying to push that rock up the mountain and over the top of it to get it in production, and then hoping people go to see it. And the other one is that thrill of practicing to be good at something and then getting your shot and then you do it. And so I'll always love acting, even though I don't do it that much anymore. But I always love it. But they're hard to compare. You know what I mean? Because they're so different.
Yeah.
Okay, what was it like for you to work with all that? What kind of material was that, the cotton candy?
I don't know. It was some kind of a thing that they could kind of spray out of a thing, or I don't know if I want to say fiberglass, but
Yeah.
it's not cotton candy.
It's not cotton candy. It was,
You don't want to eat it.
Yeah, if you could think of like some kind of like plasticky string stuff, and then they spray painted it pink.
They spray painted it pink.
Yeah.
And what was it like to be in that balloon?
So I wasn't really in the balloon, right? So
A lot of practical effects are kind of fooling your mind. They're like
Yeah.
forced perspectives.
So I have a picture. It's not up on my table. I have it. They made a half fiberglass ball that looked just like the balloon, and I stood on like a platform right behind it. Yeah.
And so depending on what shot it was, whether it was a real ball there and she's standing behind the ball, or a half-made ball, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Depending on how the shot was. But at the end of the day, the result you're looking for is to have you go, how'd you get inside
In the
that?
ball. And when they shot the ball, I was on something, and then I dropped onto like a padded
Yeah.
thing.
Like forced perspective, like when we're in the fun house and we run into that kind of monster's teeth, Like, you guys know how that kind of thing is done? Have you ever taken a picture where you're like, holding your friend up, like that, using the forced perspective, just because they're further away than you are, right? You kind of put your hand there, and your hands looks like you're holding them, a little person up. Well, that's the same thing. All they do is set the camera up. They put the thing here. You're running back there, but when you see it in forced perspective, it looks like these little people back there are now sized. They're running right into the mouth, even though all we were doing is running straight behind, like 20 feet or something.
Well, guys, we are out of time, but I just got to say thank you again for doing this. The movie is still obviously very much loved. We'd love to see a reunion on screen with the two of you and the Klowns, see where the characters would develop. But, hopefully one day it comes to fruition and we get to watch it again. Until then, we will watch the original again and again and again. But
Awesome.
guys,
Thank you guys for coming, really, for sure. Thank you so much, really.
and they will be at their table.